Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to all new attendees and welcome back to all returning attendees. My name is Hannah Wallace and I manage educational programs for the African American Museum in Philadelphia, and you are at Black August Weekly. So today we are drawing our inspiration and wisdom from Nat Turner's Rebellion. We'll begin our program with Power Up Yoga with Alexandria Wilkins, then on to a lesson with Dr. Barbara Marshall, followed by Poetic Expressions with Mizz Jasz, and then finally we'll be closing out with meditation with Ivory Leonard. So now we will begin our Power Up Yoga.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Hannah. My name is Alexandria, and I am the yoga teacher for Seven Sunflowers. I first started practicing yoga in 2017 and got yoga certified in 2019. I just really felt it was my duty to continue to study and deepen my practice with yoga so that I can bring it back to communities and people that can really benefit from it. So I like to start my classes, or I like to start my mornings by focusing on the breath, as it allows mental clarity and it enhances our attention. So we're going to get started just by bringing focus to the normal breath. You can place one hand over your heart and one over your lower belly. And you're just going to bring your awareness to the normal cycle, the normal fill of the breath. Inhaling up through your nostrils, filling up the breath. And exhale out of the mouth. Inhale up through the nostrils. As you inhale up, feel your belly come forward, filling up in your hand. And exhale, sigh out of the mouth. Inhale up through the nostrils. Fill up the belly, feel it expand forward. And exhale, sigh out of the mouth, feel the belly come back. And this time you'll inhale up through the nostrils. This time you're going to close the mouth and exhale out of the nostrils. Inhale up. Exhale, close the mouth. Exhaling out of the nostril. And continue to do that just for a few more rounds at your own pace. This breath is called victorious breath. It gives endurance to the body and it soothes the nervous system. It creates an audible ocean-like sound in the back of your throat. So when you fill up on your inhale, fill up so you can explore the space at the top when the breath is full. And when you exhale out of your nose, exhale completely so you can fill and explore the space when the breath is empty. And last time, inhale up. Fill up the belly. And exhale. And release your hands down. Now this week we're going to get out and do some stretches standing up. So if you are able, I'd ask that you come to stand. If not, you can attempt to try to do these stretches in your seat. So we're going to come to stand in Tadasana. So our feet are about hip-width distance apart. Our shoulders are relaxed, arms come alongside the body. And feel as if your neck is or your head is going up toward the ceiling, as if there's like a string pulling you up. So you come relaxed. Everything else is rooted down. Your weight is evenly distributed between all four corners of your feet. And inhale, sweep your arms up alongside your ears. Take hold of your right wrist. You're going to exhale, pour over, leaning to the left, pressing out the right hip, and crunching down on the left hip and the left rib cage. Your gaze can be down towards the floor. And continue to press as much as you can, what feels comfortable to your body. You don't want to overextend. And inhale back to center. Take hold of your left wrist. And exhale, pour, leaning over to the right. Really extend, feel the extension from that left hip, all the way up the left side body and out the arm and out the fingertips. Breathe, focusing on the breath. And inhale back to center. Arms come down, hands come to heart center. And back to Tadasana alongside the body. Shake it out. Shake out your arms and your legs. And we're going to inhale, sweep our arms up, back alongside our ears. Interlace your fingers like this. And then you're going to flip the palms up towards the ceiling. Really press towards the ceiling, but your shoulders are relaxed. Relaxing down away from your ears. Keeping your feet hip width distance apart. Really root down on the floor. And then exhale, curl forward, hollowing out the back, pressing the hands forward towards the screen, firing up through the arms. And inhale back up, open up, lifting the heart towards the ceiling, towards the sky. And exhale, curl forward. Inhale, open back up. Lifting the chest, pressing, you continue to press your hands up. And exhale, curl forward, fire up through the arms, press the hands forward. And last time, inhale up. Arch out the lower back. And release your hands. Now you're going to turn out to the left. Arms are still up alongside your ears. Bring the arms out to a T. And exhale, open up a little bit more to the left. Keeping your bottom half kind of square towards the front, towards the screen. Keeping the feet rooted. And you're just rotating out your torso for the most part. And then allow your chin to float in the direction of your left shoulder behind you. And breathe. Focusing on the breath, being present in this now moment. Inhale, arms up alongside your ears. Exhale, turn out to your right. Arms come out to a T. And extend, open up a little bit more. And your chin floats in the direction of your right shoulder. And breathe. Inhale, arms up alongside your ears. And then bring in the heart center. And alongside the body, shake it out. Shake out the legs, shake out the arms. And then we're going to bring your arms up to goalpost like this. With your right palm, you're going to bring it to your left shoulder. And begin to guide that arm back slowly. Allow this right hand to guide it back gently. And then you're going to begin to twist the torso, opening up to the left. As comfortable as your body allows. Doing what you can. And you can remain here, or if you want, extend the arm out so it's straight like this. Continue to press that shoulder back, opening it up, expanding. Come back to center, goalpost the arms. Take the left palm and do the same, pressing that right shoulder back, opening it up. And then open up your torso to the right. You can remain here again or extend, opening out, stretching that arm back and pressing back. Back to center, goalpost the arms. And then we're going to interlace our fingers behind the back body. Roll the shoulders up and back, lifting the hands up. Open up the legs a little wider, maybe about 2.5 feet apart. And then you're going to exhale, fold forward, folding at the hips, taking your arms for a ride. Continue to press back, engage the quadriceps, pressing the femur bones back into the hamstrings, into the meat of your thighs. Crown of the head drops down towards the floor. And remember to focus on your breathing. Filling up on your inhale. And sigh, let it out. Inhale the spine halfway up. Release your hands to your hips. And exhale to stand all the way. And shake it out. Arms and legs. Bringing your feet back so that they're hip width distance apart. Placing one hand over your heart and one hand on your lower belly. Soften the gaze. Really root down through your feet. Bringing awareness to your entire body, from your toes that are rooted into the floor, your legs, your thighs, your belly, your hand pressing on top of your lower belly, your chest, and your hand pressing on top of your chest. Relax the shoulders. And just focus on the breath. Inhale up through your nostrils. Feel the belly come forward. And exhale, sigh, let it out. Inhale up. And exhale, sigh. Let it out. Bring your hands to heart center, to prayer. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. That got me up. All right. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Next up, we are going to have our Black August lesson led by Dr. Barbara Marshall on Nat Turner's Rebellion.
Thank you, Hannah, and good morning, everyone. As Hannah just told you, I'm Dr. Barbara Marshall, and I have a doctorate from Temple University in African American History and Culture. I happen to have become a docent here in the museum about 2 years ago, and it was quite by accident. I happened to be walking through West Philadelphia on my way to the YMCA. I passed the Lucian Blackwell Library, and there was a flyer in the window requesting volunteer docents. That was a aha moment for me, because becoming a docent, volunteering to do that kind of work was not only giving me a chance to give back, but also to combine my three loves: African American history and culture, art, and teaching. Not just teaching, but gaining information and passing that knowledge on to young people and having them move forward with what they can learn and can achieve. So today I'm going to be discussing Black August 2020 and Nat Turner's Rebellion in light of the resistance movements as well as rebellion. I, number one, want to share and reinforce the meaning of Black August, discuss Nat Turner's life and his mission as he moved forward toward his rebellion, and to share similarities between resistance and survival that are both literary and historical. Black August. The month of August is an opportunity to understand the meaning of repression and radical resistance, as well as the righteous rebellion of individual and collective efforts to free the enslaved and break the chains that bind us. Black August began in 1971 in the California penal system to honor fallen freedom fighters, John Jackson, George Jackson, and William Christian. George Jackson, he was born September 23rd, 1941, and died August 21st, 1971. George Jackson said, and I quote, "Very few men imprisoned for economic crimes and crimes of passion against the oppressor feel that they are really guilty. Now, we do know that we are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. That is not the case with many of our Black sisters and brothers. George Jackson was a Black Panther. He was the founder of the Black Guerrilla Movement and the author of Soledad Brothers and Blood in My Eye." This is probably the first Black August event. It was the revolutionary memorial service for George Jackson. The church, St. Augustine's Church, is located in Oakland, California. It only sat 200 people. 8,000 came out to honor George Jackson. They shouted, "Remember George Jackson, long live George Jackson." And they held their hands up in the Black Power salute, some from telephone poles, others from rooftops. Now we come to Nat Turner's Rebellion, August 21st, 1831 through August 22nd or 23rd, 1831. And you do realize that dates are sometimes skewed. Some people can't figure out when something began. Some people can't figure out when it ended. So several historians say the 22nd it ended, others say the 23rd. Long before George Jackson sought prison reform, long before Malcolm X said by any means necessary, and long before Dr. King wanted his 4 little children to not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, Nat Turner was saying, no way, no how am I going to continue with enslavement? I am going to start something. And that something was a rebellion. And he was looking to God to understand enslavement and end it. You heard a cash register. That's because enslaved Africans, once they left the continent, were a cash commodity, a property. I would like to pose a poem by Langston Hughes entitled Dream Variation, which speaks to the slide that you're seeing now. To fling my arms wide in some place in the sun, to whirl and to dance till the white day is done, then rest at cool evening beneath a tall tree, while night comes on gently, dark like me. That is my dream. A dream can often be a vision, which you will discover in just a bit. So they're leaving, these happy, I would say, African individuals are leaving their home and going here. Desolate and bleak, not just because it's black and white, but because it is, in my opinion, desolate and bleak. Do you agree? They're sitting there and they're not working now, but actually these enslaved Africans would work from can to can't. They would work from dawn to dusk with no breaks, very few, or if any, food and water. Here's another sample of enslavement and also of that cash crop, that cash property. The more children you had, the more you were actually worth, because your children became the property and your children would then be that cash commodity. So you have a father, a mother, and 4 little ones. Nat Turner was born into enslavement on the Benjamin Turner plantation, October 2nd, 1800. Nat took the name of his slave master, which was the custom, and this plantation where he was born was in Southampton, Virginia. Someone spoke earlier this month on Gabriel Prosser. Well, Nat Turner was born 5 days before the execution of Gabriel Prosser. When Nat Turner was born, his mother knew that he was destined for great things. Number 1, he was born with scars on his chest. Number 2, he was born with a caul or a membrane over his face, meaning to her and to many other African people of African descent that the child would become a prophet, the child would be destined for great things. He learned to read and write at an early age. He was destined for greatness. He saw visions. He was destined for greatness. Nat never knew his father. It is believed that his father ran away, escaped successfully to live in the dismal swamp with the Maroons. Others believe because of his complexion that he may have been the son of the slave master. There are many images of Nat Turner on the internet that you can find, and also in books. And this is one example of one of those images. It's an artistic representation. He has a hat on to protect him from the hot Virginia sun, and he's also dressed in a very European style, from hand-me-down clothes more than likely. This is one that I really like, this version of the Nat Turner that we may come to know, with piercing eyes and a stern glance, a determined gaze. As I said before, he had visions. Visions can be considered dreams. And I quote from Nat's own words, "I found on the leaves in the woods hieroglyphic characters and numbers in the form of men in different attitudes portrayed in blood and representing the figures I had seen before in the heavens." Nat Turner had his own Bible, which you see before you. He became a preacher to both enslaved Africans and whites. This Bible has no front or back cover. The part of Genesis is lost, and parts of Leviticus and Revelations are also lost. The Bible is approximately 3 by 5, very small, something that he could fit in his pocket if he had pockets in his pants. And this Bible led him to his preaching. People believed in his voice, both Black and white alike. The Bible is, you can go and see it. It's in the National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC. Now, this is an interesting fact I learned. This gentleman's name is Nate Parker. He is an actor who you've probably seen. And he also was a Virginia resident who never heard about Nat Turner in the school system. So he had a mission, he had a vision, he had a dream as well. And that was to put Nat Turner's life on the big screen. So this gentleman wrote, directed, and produced The Birth of a Nation. I'm going to quote Nat again. "I saw white spirits engaged in battle, and the sun was darkened. The thunder rolled in the heavens and flowed in streams. I heard a voice. Such is your luck. Such you are called to see and bear." This movie was produced and sent off to Sundance Film Festival in 2016. Birth of a Nation. You'll see that the red stripes are militiamen and some enslaved Africans. Nat here is leading the riot, as well as some plantation owners. Okay, so here we have Nat Turner, I would say sort of holding court, but encouraging his co-conspirators, let's begin this thing. I have had visions. I have seen what can happen. We are going to go out and cause some real serious confusion so that we can de-enslave, that's not really a word, so that we can free our brothers and sisters. His co-conspirators, according to the research, were Henry, Hart, Nelson, and Sam. Nat was going to begin the rebellion on July 4th, which represented our freedom from, or Americans' freedom from England. However, he got sick and couldn't continue that thought, couldn't continue it. So he saw another sign in the heaven. He had another vision, and that vision was an eclipse. Some people believe that because Mount Helens had erupted, the sky was green and blue and gray. That became Nat Turner's vision. And with that vision, he decided he was going to start perhaps here. A replica of a Virginia plantation. They were going to go from plantation to plantation throughout, which is now Cortland, toward Jerusalem to slay plantation owners. to kill the oppressed. Newspaper accounts, horrid massacre in Virginia. The Bible says, and I'm probably quoting from Nat's Bible in his extensive reading because he did read extensively, go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both men and woman and infant, that they might be an example of God's vengeance against those who deal cruelly with his people. Samuel 15:3. And thus they did. They killed men, women, and children. From Nat Turner's confession, and I quote, "We started from there, from Mrs. Reese's, maintaining the most perfect silence on our march, where finding the door unlocked, we entered and murdered Mrs. Reese in her bed. While sleeping, her son awoke, but it was only to sleep the sleep of death." Here we have the dark, dark woods. Give you something to think about. As the slaughter went on, other plantation owners realized what was happening, and they immediately went out and arbitrarily started killing any enslaved person they saw. They searched and searched for Nat Turner, but they couldn't find him because he had hidden in the woods. And he hid there for 30 days. On that 30th day, which was October 30th, 1831, he was captured by the gentleman there on your right, Benjamin Phipps, in the woods outside of a small town called Jerusalem, where they were headed to collect rifles. Jerusalem is now called present-day Cortland, Virginia. Nat did not resist, even though he had that long sword type thing and his Bible. He did not resist. He accepted what he knew would be his fate. This is a cover of the Confessions of Nat Turner, which was written by Thomas R. Gray. Thomas Gray was a court-appointed attorney, but he also decided, I think he was going to make a little bit of cash from collecting the documents or collecting and documenting the Confessions of Nat Turner from beginning to end. He sat in the cell before Nat Turner went to trial and was prosecuted for 3 days and wrote down everything Nat Turner said about the insurrection and took the document to DC to be copywritten prior to Nat Turner's execution. Some historians state that this document takes liberties with information. We don't know. Nat Turner was hanged on November 11th, 1831 in Cortland, Virginia. He did not have a jury trial. The judge determined his fate. After he was killed, he was decapitated, he was quartered and skinned. Allegedly, his skull and brain were sent off for study because people really couldn't believe that this darky could come up with that kind of organization to start this insurrection or this rebellion and go arbitrarily from plantation to plantation to slay people. Also, pieces of his skin and bone were souvenirs in an attempt to crush his legacy and prevent him from being exalted as a martyr. However, on the highway, there used to be, and I say used to be because this marker was removed on June 3rd, 2020. Now, I don't know whether that was a result of the Confederate statues coming down or what, but there was a person on YouTube who was looking for it and couldn't find it. On the night of the 21st through 22nd of August, 1831, Nat Turner, a slave preacher, began an insurrection some 7 miles west with a band that grew to about 70. They moved northeast toward the Southampton County seat, Jerusalem, now Cortland. That to me is kind of an interesting play on words, Cortland, the land of where the court was anyway. Killing about 60 whites. After 2 days, militiamen and armed civilians quelled the revolt. Turner was captured on 30th October, tried and convicted, and hanged on 11 November. Some 30 blacks were hanged or expelled from Virginia. In response to the revolt, the General Assembly passed harsher slave laws and also abolished abolitionists. So, the results of Nat Turner's rebellion. First of all, people say that Nat Turner's rebellion was the first war, the Civil War was the second. It became illegal for slaves to preach, though Nat had preached to both slaves and whites, illegal. Slaves could not be insolent to white people, and we know, don't look them in the eye. That's insolence too. Whites receive compensation for killed property. Well, yeah, this is my property, just like a horse is. And so I want money back if they are killed. Slaves could not carry guns or hunt in the woods. Slaves could not cohabitate with free blacks or white people. And marriage, of course, as we know, was out of the question. Slaves could not own livestock. Slaves could not be taught to read. And the image of the black slave became blurred. And I love this slide because it is blurred. They're jumping the broom, but is that a reason to gather to revolt? They're playing the drums. That was a way to speak. Is that a way also to plan revolt? So these things, everything about someone you own now is blurred. Who can one plantation owner or so trust? Who? Certainly not those we enslaved before. Now, but here we have an instructional unit. Notice the title, A Troublesome Property. And though I didn't have an opportunity to look at the dialogue, there are some scholars who dialogue about Nat Turner and his rebellion, and it is called Troublesome Property. We think of property as a house, as a car, certainly not a human being. And our car might start working, we can get it fixed. How do you fix troublesome property? How do you fix an enslaved African? Maybe by killing them, but we must silence them. Frederick Douglass said, "It is not light that we need, but fire. It is not a gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm. We need the whirlwind and the earthquake, all forms of resistance." Freedom. I have some thoughts about freedom. Freedom from physical discrimination. Freedom from mental oppression. Freedom from economic inequality. Freedom from segregated neighborhoods. Freedom from lack of housing. Freedom from unequal education. Freedom from food deserts. And certainly freedom from Miss Ann's phone call. Marcus Garvey says, another revolutionary, "Look for me in the whirlwind or the storm. Look for me all around you, for with God's grace I shall come and bring with me countless millions of Black slaves who have died in America and the West Indies and the millions in Africa, and aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life. And if not, I'm going back to Africa." Now I'm asking you to become an advocate for Nat Turner and continue the research. There's just so much I could do for 20 minutes. Google Nat Turner. Draw an event from Nat Turner's life. Write a poem, which you're going to be doing later, perhaps. Create a rap for all of you young people out there who like to rap. Write a dialogue between Nat Turner and one of his co-conspirators, or even one of the plantation owners. Compare Nat Turner to another troublemaker. Some you see on the big screen now. Draw your own visualization of Nat Turner. Create a musical tribute. Write a news article. Nat Turner's marker disappeared. What did happen to that marker? I don't know. This gentleman leaves no introduction. He says, and I quote, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek." And if we are the change that we seek, we can end Black Lives Matter, because we know they matter. It's just getting the others to realize they matter. And I'd like to end where I began, with the poem by Langston Hughes. I dream a world where a man no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. I dream a world where black or white, whatever race you be, will share the bounties of the earth and every man is free, where wretchedness will hang its head and joy like a pearl attend the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream our world. Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone that came out today to listen to Black August. And I'd like to especially thank my brother over there in Chicago, whom I never get to see unless we're on Zoom until this pandemic is over. Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Marshall. So well spoken and well researched. That was a wonderful lesson. So we are going to hold on to the principles that we've learned from Nat Turner's Rebellion and move forward onto our poetic expression with Miss Jasz.
Hi, everyone. My poet name is Miss Jasz. As you can see, I'm an educator. I taught high school English for 10 years. I'm a writer, primarily poetry, but I also am a contributor for Mobile Millennial, and I'm a community organizer. I have a nonprofit called Urgent 365, and I am the founder of Stay Woke Philly, which is a youth arts program. I also just want to pause and give a shout out to say thank you to Ali for opening us up, and thank you, Barbara, for such a beautiful, excellent, well-informed presentation, which is very aligned to what we're about to do. Okay, so I want to check in with everybody, and I loved that how Barbara highlighted Nat Turner's visions and how he was often led by dreams and could see things beyond. And so with this check-in, I want us to tap into our inner Nat Turners, and we're going to begin to visualize. You will need paper for this part or something to write on, but for this check-in, I'm going to ask you to write in the chat. And so I want to get a feel for how you're feeling today, but because I want to practice or get you warmed up for like visualizing and imagining, I want you to answer this question. I want to know, what color are you? So if I'm checking in on like how you are, or if you're checking in on how I am today, I would be the color yellow because it's been a good morning so far. I'm feeling really creative and bright. And so in the chat, I would like you to put what color are you right now? And if you are able to say why, like a couple words, that would be beautiful. But I want you to let me know how you're doing. Give me a color. I'll be looking in the chat, and you can say why. And this is our warm up for tapping into our internet turner, for visualizing things. All right, I see April is purple. April is feeling enriched, hopeful, and alive. Thank you, April, I like that. Hannah is green, feeling like new natural growth. I like that, it's very grounded. Let's look for it. Ooh, ruby, okay. Thank you, Carolyn. Like a beautiful stone. I love it. Okay, great. Red for strong. Thank you, Barbara. Yes, yes. Especially after that presentation you gave. We're really grounded. Okay, so a riot is the language of the unheard. I felt like this quote really captured like Nat Turner's rebellion, and specifically what happens when we are silenced for so long. Okay, I see some more coming in the chat. Blue, thank you, Carmelo. Gold, thank you, Ivory. And so I want us to think about a couple things with this quote. And first, I'm really reflective on his story and how he was a visionary. Nat Turner was a man of purpose who had a heart for freedom, and who was led by what he saw that others couldn't necessarily see. Second, his story also made me think about like the plight of Black America, how we have some freedoms, but there are still many more rights and things that we deserve. And so like Nat Turner, for example, was able to read, and he even had a Bible that he was able to preach from. However, he was still an enslaved person. And so there were a lot of things that he couldn't do. And so I feel like both his journey and our own journeys as Black people in America exist in this tension. And so the third thing that I want us to look at is I want us to reflect on these things. And so on your paper or whatever you're going to write for this session, I want you to think about 3 words or phrases that speak to the tension. So if you are a person who has the, thinking of the quote, like the language of the unheard, then, or if you're living in this tensions, then these are some things that we can use. These are some ways that we can express like what we're processing. And so first, I want you to include, like, write down a word or emotion that speaks to the tension, either Nat Turner's tension or the personal tension of being a Black in America. Second, I want you to choose a color that represents that emotion. And so maybe you choose red because it's really fiery. And then thirdly, and I think Barbara's presentation helped with this, I want you to consider a visual or a setting or object, like she showed us the woods, the dark woods, or maybe, you feel like being America is like a broken glass. It was something that was full of promise, but it's like falling apart, or maybe it's a rainforest. So I'm gonna give you about 1 minute to write down 3 words or phrases that fall into these 3 categories. Thank you for everyone who spoke in the chat so far. I know for like emotions and feelings, strain is something that comes up for me. Again, you can put anything in the chat. It doesn't have to be all 3. You could just like put one of your words. A vision that I have thinking about strained would be like a rope that's being stretched and is like down to its last thread. And so that's just an example. Exasperating. Thank you, Hannah. Yeah, definitely. Fury. Yes, April. That automatically gives me some like visuals in my head when I think of fury. Mental fog, like a cloudiness. Thank you, Richard. Yes. Okay, great. I love it. You guys are with me. We're ready to move to the next slide. Today we are going to be doing some writing, and that writing is going to be poetry. Scary and gray. Thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. Both of those, all of that. And so with poetry, I do want to start by saying that anybody can write poetry. I know sometimes people are like, oh, I'm just not poetic, or I don't, I don't think like that I don't have those words, I'm not that deep. Anybody can write poetry. And so I want to take away that myth. And to back that up, I want to share that poetry falls into 4 categories, and the category that we're diving into today is imagination. But the 4 categories poetry falls into, and I'm going to share this in the chat, is music. Usually you hear the sound when you hear a poem. People are used to it rhyming. Another thing is structure. Some poems follow a particular form, like a sonnet, for example. And then the third thing is story. So poems can tell a story. The 4th thing is imagination. And given that Nat Turner was such a visionary, I want us to focus on creating a poem that stretches our imagination and creates like images. And so today, our prompt is to write a poem that paints a picture that is representative of either the Black American tension or Turner's feelings of rebellion. So if you are a Black person, again, you can use your own tension or your own experience and understanding about what's happening now, or you have the opportunity to kind of like embody what Nat Turner might have been feeling. We are going to look at a poem by Claude McKay titled America to use this as a guide. And so there are 3 things that Claude McKay does in his poem that I want to highlight. And then when we look at his poem together on the next slide, we'll unpack these. And so you can name the problem. You'll see that Claude McKay's poem is called America because America is the problem that he's talking about. I would like you to start and end with an image. Again, we're so focused on like visualizing today and visions that I would like you to think about an image to guide and end the poem that you're writing. And then lastly, some of those emotions that you put in the chat, scary, fury, exasperating, you can include those emotions and feelings in your poem as well. Next slide. So here's the poem. I'm going to read it and highlight, and then after this, we'll jump into writing. Although America by Claude McKay. Although she feeds me bread of bitterness and sinks into my throat her tiger's tooth, stealing my breath of life, I will confess, I love this cultured hell that tests my youth. Her vigor flows like tides into my blood, giving me strength erect against her hate. Her bigness sweeps my being like a flood, yet as a rebel fronts a king in state. I stand within her walls with not a shred of terror, malice, not a word of jeer. Darkly, I gaze into the days ahead and see her might and granite wonders there. Beneath the touch of time's unerring hand, like priceless treasures sinking in the sand. And so there are 3 things I want to highlight. You may not understand this whole poem, and that is not necessary for you to be able to complete this prompt. The things that I want you to focus on is naming the problem. Again, this is called America. And so whether you do that in the title or the poem, you should name what you're talking about. Starting and ending with an image. So Claude McKay starts with the bread of bitterness and also like the tiger's tooth, which are images we can see. And then it ends with the treasures sinking in the sand. So we can see these images to like guide the poem. Thirdly, include some emotions and feelings throughout. You see love, you see hate, you see terror and malice. And so this is what we're gonna focus on. We're gonna put the prompt back on the screen. We have about 7 minutes to write. It is not mandatory, but I would love to hear some people share. And so at the very least, if in the chat you wanna write like what you wrote about, that's cool. But if you are comfortable, we'd love some people to come off mute and share your pieces with us. And if you share, then I also will share.
I'll share, Jasz.
Thank you.
Sure. 45. He who shall not be named. No longer the people's house, surrounded by iron fencing, tear gas, bang shots, glass, gray, blue, purple, green, keeping 45 in, keeping the people out. Iron fencing and hatred, 45. He who shall not be named.
Yeah. That was great. Thank you for opening.
Thanks.
Thank you for opening up our sharing space. When I was working on this, I was like, I could definitely see somebody writing about the president. You got a clap in the chat from Richard, and all the snaps from me. Anyone else? We could take maybe one more.
Okay, mine is kind of short. It's called What Do We Do Now? Nat Turner plotted and then struck at night. To fight for their freedom, they laid down their lives. No time for feeling, just organize.
Yes. Way to tap into your inner Nat Turner. That's I appreciated that. Thank you. Oh, we have something in the chat. Small towns called to people. Come to me and maintain. Life is not meant to be examined. We live oblivious, free from pain. If you come to me to live, first you must agree that history and present lives, but the pain is not for me. Okay, Isis, y'all popping today. I'm liking this. Thank you. Okay, I will just end with mine since I said I would share, and then we'll wrap up. Mine is also short. After dragging us into the forest, they still want to block our hand from tasting the juice of berries, indulging the abundance of our land. Our fingers worked for hours, ancestors dust to dust. Yet America still craves power, hoping for our dreams to rust. All right. Yes, okay, so thank you all. That is all from me. Oh, thank you, April. So keep writing and revising these poems, as Barbara said, to keep the story of Nat Turner alive.
All right. Oh man, that was something. Hoping for our dreams to rust. I took that to heart. That's so true. You see, so many folks are, just they wait and just see if the protests will quiet down. So I feel that. Thank you, Jasz. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. That had to be probably one of our best poetry sessions that we've had. There's so much sharing, and that's always what we're aiming for. So that was wonderful. Thank you. So now we're going to wind down, bring ourselves nearing the close. We are going to have meditation with Ivory Leonard.
Thank you all so much for your time, your presence, from Ali to Barbara to Jasz. Thank you for sharing. There comes a time and we have to wake up from the dream. We have to wake up to ourselves from the illusion. Ancient civilizations, they knew. The Greeks and Romans, they took it from our people. The cradle of civilization began with us, even in 1619, and how America has been shaped from the economic, social, racial, and political structure has been shaped by Black and brown bodies. And individuals like Nat Turner, James Baldwin, Sojourner Truth, Harriet, all of those who woke up to themselves and realized that there was something not right, there's something wrong. Colonialism, white ideas, just to be straightforward. It's not natural to who and what we are. Not only were we considered not human, but we had no idea what we come from and who we are because it's been stripped from us. We gotta return home. We have to return to what we already are. That which has shaped the world to be what it is and continues to reshape the world as it is. Before we begin, I want to start with breath work. And I want to show this first breathing exercise is called bellows breath. We're going to place our hands in a fist position right next to our shoulders. And as we lift up, we're going to reach towards the heavens with our hands open wide. We're going to reach up and bring it down, up, down, up, down, okay? The breath works simultaneously with it. So in and out the nose, in and out the nose, breathing in and out as the hands go up and down. Yeah? So that is called bellows breath. As you are in a seated position, with your hips directly under your shoulders, lifting up, engaging everything from the 7 chakras, lifting up, opening your energies, lifting your sternum open, relaxing your shoulders, sitting in your power. Let's go ahead and prep with our hands directly to our shoulders. As we lift up, we breathe in. As we bring down, bring the heavens to us, we exhale. Ready? Let's go and transition into it. Breathe in. Up, down, in, out, in, out, in, out. 19, 20. Relax into it, relax into it, relax into it. Gently placing your hands on your knees. Finding your inhale and your exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. The next inhale, we're going to transition with our hands placed right in front of our shoulders. And exhale. We're going to transition into it. Breathe in. And breathe out. Ready? And let's go. Breathe in. Out. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Up, down. Up, down. Three, two, one. Relaxing into it. Relax into it. Gently closing your eyes. 4-2-4, transitioning to 4-7-8. Relaxing your body, relaxing your body. Finding your natural flow. Let's breathe in together. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. The next one is going to transition to 4-2-4. Breathing in and out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the 1, 2. Release the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Relax your hands. 2, 3, 4. Hold the 1, 2. Release the 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe into the diaphragm. 3. Hold the breath and release. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in and out. 1. Breathe in. Fill in the diaphragm. And hold 1, 2. Release it on 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. Fill it up. That's your force energy. That's your life. Hold it on 1, 2. Release it on 1, 2. Last time. Breathe in. 2. Hold. Release. And let your breath flow naturally. Just observe your breath. Observe your breath. Observe your power. Observe your energy. Observe the connection to the origins of your family. Just observe it. We're going to transition to 4-7-8. Breathing in together. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. The next one is going to transition to 4-7-8. Breathe in and out. 1, 2. Hold 1. Step. Release in 1. 6, 7, 8. Breathe in and 1. Hold. Release in 1, 2. Empty it out. Empty your diaphragm. Empty it. Breathe in last time. Enjoy it. Enjoy. 2. Enjoy the breath. And hold 1. Release in 1, 2. Empty, empty. 7, 8. And find your natural flow. Just observing the breath. Gently closing your eyes. Lifting up, relaxing your shoulders. Ensuring that the chin is not too low or not too high, directly parallel to the floor. Just connecting to your breath. As you are, with the continuation of the lessons that we've experienced today, visualization, just imagine yourself in your fullest form, your truest self, that's what you already are. You can be a color, you can be an animal, or you can be that being that you already are in the body that you're in. Envision it, feel it, see it. If you can think about adjectives to describe that which you already are, that which you are envisioning, you can say some of those things to yourself. Is that what you see yourself to be is what you already are. If your mind wanders off, gently but deliberately bring it back to that vision that you see yourself in. Because that's what matters most. Bring it back. As you are slowly blinking your eyes back to this present moment, and what you seek is what you already are. Change is that which you already are. Your inner self, your truest self, that's what we need. And meditation is that connection to what we are. These visions, Nat Turner, he knew. Our ancestors knew. And you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ivory. Thank you, everyone, for coming today and attending with us. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Thanks again. Happy Black August.